When I'm stressed out, I start forgetting names. It's usually one of the first things that happens when I'm particularly stressed out. Not your names, not the names of my family, at least not yet, but the names of historical figures, politicians, personalities, actors, comedians, famous or infamous people. It's a warning sign that starts to blink in the background as I wonder, who is that Catholic comedian who has all those jokes about junk food and watching TV? Jim, right, Gaffigan. What's the name of that soccer player that scored that goal in that game? What's the name of the person that... Lately, I've been forgetting names. I'm putting myself out there a little bit because I feel like, not because I feel like a personal a mental collapse is imminent, but to note that I've been forgetting names the last week or two. The system is under some strain. I think everybody's system is under some strain. I felt lethargic when I was riding my bike this week. I wondered if there was actually something wrong with me physically, and I realized it wasn't lethargy, I was just unfocused. I see an image on the screen as I ride. The other day, thanks to the wonders of technology, I was in a bedroom, but I was riding through Glacier National Park in Montana, barely aware of the waterfalls cascading down the stunning Rocky Mountains above the Going to the Sun Road. Presented with this most stunning panorama, all I could think about was whether I had remembered to email that guy about that thing, whatever his name was. The text in Mark lends itself to naming a big problem, an evil, a demon, personal or systemic, and talking about how the presence of Jesus extracts, the goodness of God eliminates, the grace of God destroys that evil, that demon. You may have seen from the newsletter that came out recently that I'm tasked with leading a discussion about white evangelicalism in the upcoming Interfaith Lenten series in February. And that's a topic that fits nicely with this text. The demon is racism or nationalism that has become enmeshed with Christianity, and that it needs to be exorcised. We are where we are in American society in somewhat of an ironic place, in that American Muslims were supposed to loudly disavow Muslim extremism in the wake of 9/11 and subsequent terrorist attacks. Where are all the good Muslims? Evangelicals seem to ask quite often back then. If they don't support this stuff, they should say something. Now I'm seeing folks saying the same thing about Christians. If you're against white nationalist insurrection, you should say so. Okay, just to be clear, we are, just to be clear, Black Lives Matter, xenophobia is evil, nationalism is a curse. And yes, I believe with my whole heart that the presence of God's love, when experienced and felt, recognized in the gifts of the communion table, where all are welcomed and all are celebrated as God's beloved family, are encountered, then the evil spirit that is white Christian nationalism can begin to be exercised. But I don't want to set it up like that today. The demons, the evil, they can be personal and familial. Addictions, gambling, or substance abuse disorders. We can talk about how the term alcoholic is largely out in clinical settings now, that because people are not their cages and people are not their handcuffs, the term alcoholic is being replaced in many corners with people who suffer from alcohol use disorder. Gamblers are those who struggle with gambling disorder, which may seem silly to use more words rather than to be economical in our speech. But because people are not their cages and recovery is possible and miracles happen every day, and that an encounter with divine love can liberate people from all manner of cages and break the handcuffs, it might be worth that extra second or two to say one with a gambling disorder. But I don't want to set it up like that today. The demons can be many things. It can be as simple as just your busyness, a failure to live life comprehensively or holistically. It can actually be pretty much what you want the demon to be or what you need it to be. You're going to interpret this story, this text, in all manner of ways based on your context, your understanding of the spiritual life, your understanding of what a demon is or what evil is. Are there apparitions and phantoms? How does evil manifest itself in the world? The gospel writers, though, they sometimes tip us off as to which part of the story they want us to understand as the central key part, the thesis, the apex, the thing that they want you to take for the journey, the thing that they want you to think about when you walk in the park later. I know when you got up today, you thought, I hope that preacher talks about the obvious chiasm in this piece of text. Well, if you did have that thought, you are in luck, my friends. A chiasm is just a fancy way of organizing and framing the structure of the story. You can see that there are outer and inner brackets that lead to a central epiphany in the text. Rather than making things murkier, sometimes a chiasm can help you grasp the thesis, the central part of the story. And I'm going to show you what I mean with this text. So these are my notes for today. You can see the text is organized so that there are outer brackets in the first and the last verse. He was coming into Capernaum immediately on the Sabbath, having come into the synagogue he was teaching. And the report of him went out immediately. He was coming into, the report of him was going out. The next section, the next brackets, they were amazed about the teaching, for he was teaching them as having authority. This bracket in verse 27, who is this teaching with authority? The next set of brackets, and immediately there was in their synagogue a man, and it squawked out. I love that translation. And convulsing him, the unclean spirit, crying out, a great voice went out of him, squawking out, crying out. And then the central part of the story, what to us and to you, Jesus of Nazareth, have you come to destroy us? I've seen who you are, the Holy One of God. And Jesus censured him, saying, be silent and come out of him. I assume that there is some protest going on from this man who's inhabited by these spirits. They're shouting. It's loud in that synagogue. Have you come to destroy us? Be silent. You might have noticed that the others in the synagogue are not scandalized by this man's presence. They don't react. They don't look at him. They appear to be wondering what Jesus is going to do. This man who is struggling so much, he's probably been there before. They're used to him. It's just the way he is. This is Uncle Bernie or neighbor John or relative Jack, troubled, frustrating, handcuffed, caged, silent. Just be silent. My job is to talk about the world out there. It is to denounce the evils that exist, the injustice made manifest, to call our attention to the good, to glimpse and celebrate hope. This week, this Sunday, I felt the need to listen to the text in among all of the other stuff of this week, GameStop and conspiracy theories and Marjorie Taylor Greene and QAnon and border walls and this virus and our collective inability to contain it. Silent. Just be silent. If you're forgetting names, just be silent. If a picture of Glacier National Park is confronting you and you don't pay it any mind, you need to be silent. Just be silent. This is Capernaum. And we are about to do a guided meditation. A common question that people have when they read the Gospels is, why did Jesus move to Capernaum from Nazareth as an adult? Well, with more than a foot of snow supposedly on the way for us, here you go. Now you know why Jesus moved to Capernaum. Look at that view. Just look at it. This is the fourth century synagogue. It was built on top of the one Jesus taught in. The foundations are still there of the original synagogue. The white stone slabs stood out so the synagogue was visible to all who came to the area. This may have been the spot where Jesus confronted that man with those evil spirits. And so today, instead of laboring to name the many demons and evils that need to be exorcised in our lives, I turn to the central point of the chiasm. Be silent. Take in the sea. Take in the sea with your eyes. Imagine being on the shoreline. Take in the Sea of Galilee. And now close your eyes. Close your eyes if you can, my friends. In a year when most of us can't go anywhere far, in your mind's eye, go to the shore. Go to the lake's edge and breathe. Just breathe. There's a soft breeze coming in off the lake. Fishermen a distance off in a small boat. Are you there on the water's edge? Just breathe. You're turning your back to the shore now, and you begin walking in the opposite direction towards a beautiful white marble building. Small, yes, but also beautiful. Religious symbolism at its corners. People gathering outside, talking to each other. There's a feeling of joy, anticipation, hopefulness in the air on this sunny, warm day. As you walk, your hand brushes against some long grass. A white and brown butterfly is startled off a stalk and flaps its wings as it twirls and dances in the breeze, flying ahead of you as you approach this beautiful structure. And you just breathe. You see the people outside and they're familiar to you. They smile as they see you. These people, they know you. They get you. They're your community. They've forgiven you in the past and you have forgiven them. It's good to be near them. And so you can just breathe. Someone asks you, "How are you?" And they really mean to know the answer. How are you? What's the first word that comes to mind? I am. And just breathe. Hold it, hold that word, even if you don't like the word, the adjective, the state. Hold it for a moment, let it roll around in your head. You tell this person outside the synagogue on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, you tell them how you are. And they love you. They love you deeply, and so they don't say a thing. Just breathe. They hug you. You can feel their cheek near yours. You can smell the shampoo that they use ever so faintly. And you remember now, with all the world's troubles, that you are held, loved, and cared for, no matter what adjective spilled out of your mouth. Just breathe. You turn back towards the lake. The butterfly flits across in front of you one more time. The sun is on your cheeks. You feel a breeze. The laughter of friends in the background gathering for worship. Fishermen on a boat hard at work. Out on the water, the sun glinting off of it. Even when the world is full of noise, you can be silent. So just breathe. This view you have, the sun and the shore and the lake, the sound of the people, God gave you this view. God gave you these people. God gave you your gifts and talents and imagination out of an abundance of creativity. God gave the water and the wind and the butterfly. The view is yours. Just breathe. This one's just for you. Do you want to go in now? Do you want to go inside into the synagogue to worship? Or just stay a little longer outside facing the Sea of Galilee, giving thanks for the view? And just breathe.